Another teaching that my father was really strong on was the belief that when you make something, part of your spirit goes in it. So we were taught when you weave headbands, cedar hats, baskets, this is a bracelet, you have to be of good mind, good heart, good spirit. If you're frustrated and you get angry, those will go in the basket and be carried. So you're taught if you feel frustrated or you're mad, then you have to get up and walk away and come back when you're feeling of good heart and mind. And that part of your spirit will always be in these creations that you've made for yourself. So he said, things will come back to you when you least expect it. So this basket here came back to me about 20 years ago. My sister was doing a show in Santa Fe, New Mexico, an art show and selling arts and crafts. And she was selling my dad's book. And a lady came and bought the book, read it overnight, and came back with a box. And she said, I read your father's book. It was remarkable. But my mother lived on Granville Street. And she told me that if I found family members of Mary Capilano, that I was to give the baskets back. And so she had 9 baskets in the box. So my sister came back with it, and there's 9 kids in our family. So we each got one. And this isn't the first instance that this has happened. My daughter lived on Main Street, and she was walking into the secondhand stores there, and there's one called Baker's Dozen, which is odd because Bakers are my maiden name. And she went in there, and there were these 2 poles that were once lamps because they had holes in the top. And she lifted it up, and it said Cy Baker. So she texts me and sends me a picture and said, are these really Grandpa's? And I said, yeah, I recognize his signature. He wasn't a great carver, but he was trying to learn at that time. So anyways, she said, well, I'm going to buy them. So she ended up bartering and had to pay $700 for 2. But we wanted them back in the family. And at this time, my mom was 102 and in a home, very bright as a whip still. And I showed her pictures of them. I said, look, Mom, look what we found. And she's like, oh, I remember those. Daddy carved them for your brothers when they were in Boy Scouts. So we're talking 40s. And they were for a raffle. And she said he was always making things and giving them away, she said. But she knew, she remembered instantly. So now they're back in our home again. And then just recently, I have a guy who cleans my fish tanks, my aquariums for me. And I was doing some work like this, talking with somebody, and he goes, oh, I keep forgetting to ask you. I was wondering if you would be interested in some baskets. So I said, what kind of baskets? He said, well, my dad used to be an antique dealer, and he worked in the Yeltsilewet area. And he was at this lady's house, and she said, I've got this box of baskets that my mom bought goods from a native person in. I don't want the baskets. Do you want them? And he said, sure. So it sat in his basement for 40 years. And then my friend Victor's been in his basement, and his wife finally said, get rid of the baskets. So I thought they'd be all tattered and wrecked. And I said, I will gladly take them. Anyways, he came and arrived with these beautiful baskets, a papoose, a tray, a basket like this with the handles, perfect condition. And I don't think they're Mary Capellinas because they're a different design, but they're meant to come back to us. And I remember the Tomahawk Drive-In. Used to be a drive-in restaurant. It's a restaurant in North Vancouver. It got robbed, 30, 40 years ago. And my dad was on Global News because he knew the owners really well. And don't worry, because they carry baskets and stuff like this. It will come back because our souls are in those. Our spirit's in them. Well, after Dad passed away about 10 years ago, somebody left the box of all the stuff that was stolen outside the door of the Tomahawk. So it was back on the news again, and I had a cut of my dad saying, "Don't worry, it'll come back." Sort of like Schwarzenegger, "I'll be back." Thank you.